Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Ready podcast. Today, we actually have a really amazing guest. She's a designer and an author. We have Hollie G with us with HG Makeovers. So happy to have you here. Some people may think, why in a divorce podcast would we have a designer and someone who loves to simplify life on this podcast with us? So, Hollie, I'd like to introduce you to everybody in the world, to
Hello.
YouTube
Thanks
land.
for having me.
Yes.
Happy to be here.
Thank you so much.
Thank
so
you.
tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, what made you get into what you do.
Oh, okay. So I've been a lifelong designer. So professionally, I've been practicing for 25 years. And my background out of college.
Back up. What kind of design? What do you design?
Interior design. So mostly residential, light commercial. But out of college, I was with Hudson's and Marshall Fields, like the iconic design studio here in Detroit, for 7 years before I got married and started my family. And what was supposed to be a baby back in '05 turned into a set of twins, and shortly after, another one 15 months later. And then I had another set of twins.
Oh my gosh.
Just a couple of years after. So I had 5 kids in less than 4 years, all on the cusp of the economy tanking back in '08 in the recession. And that's kind of what shifted me into who I am today as a designer and what my passion is, which is helping people simplify their everyday life.
Well, somebody with 5 kids that can simplify life, I mean, all hail, because it's a lot. That's a lot to simplify your life. You've 2 sets of twins.
It was survival. You don't get through that and through unemployment and some major life changes without having a system and being thoughtful about what's important and what your priorities are. So.
Sure. So what would you say your favorite aspect of your career would be, or who do you love to work with most with clients? I know you work with real estate agents sometimes as well, but
I do.
What's your bread and butter kind of?
My bread and butter, I love just a really good consult, or you could think of it as not so much design, but a home edit. I just believe that design is for everybody, and I try to make it accessible to everybody. So if I could go into anyone's home and at any point and do a really good, like 60 to 90 minute consult, I just promise that there are changes and things that I can see and things we can shift and ideas and visions that I can help everyday people with that just solve problems.
So that excites you more than doing a brand new project or new build?
I think, people come to me all the time. They're like, oh, do you work? I think you did it. Do you work with architects? Do you work with builders? And
I did ask you that. Yeah.
And it's real common because people just associate design with luxury lifestyle. And while I love all those things, I really, like I said, I'm kind of the target of design. I want to be accessible and I want people to enjoy their everyday life.
So for somebody that has clutter all over their house, maybe some dated furniture, dated colors and all that, and they call you up, that excites you.
Yeah, I'm a pro. However, speaking to your passion, you mentioned the cigars. I have clients, I'll do a full home renovation.
Okay.
And I have clients where, in Lake Orion, this lovely family where they had this dining room in this great, 2-story colonial a couple years ago. And their dining room was just sitting there with old, massive furniture. It was heaped full of clutter.
Okay.
It was the catch-all.
It's a dumping ground.
It was the dumping ground. And it is in so many homes. And her husband was really passionate about whiskey.
Okay.
And we turned it into a whiskey lounge.
Cool.
So it was, and we're still fine tuning, but yeah.
That's awesome.
I mean,
I'd love to see pictures of it. That's great.
Full on design is absolutely part of my jam, but what excites me just as much is being able to just share what I do with everyday people.
Sounds like you're saving marriages. You're keeping everybody happy. That's a good thing.
Or
maybe
post-marriage,
Right.
getting
Post-marriage
somebody
back.
excited about a new space they're in.
Exactly.
Or Boost, I know we've talked in the past about how it's important to have a clean or organized or fresh space to feel good about yourself. Whether you're getting ready to list your house to sell it, or you're going to start hosting parties or events, or business wise, or if you're dating and you're bringing somebody to your house, and you want to be able to impress them, or at least have a place that feels like a clean, fresh new place, not the old memories necessarily, or to where it doesn't look like you're living out of a box. And so there's all kinds of reasons for why interior design is important. I know I'm personally passionate about it too. So
Well, being in real estate, we love design and all that aspect. I'm assuming you've worked with divorcing men, women, kind of getting their groove. I would say getting your groove back and just kind of finding yourself. I felt, for me, it was hard at first because I had been married for 14 years. I got married so young that I was like, who am I? What do I, and that's not like that's not my norm. So I had to really find that. And I'm assuming that maybe you've gotten to do that, and that might be.
I have, and I come here today with personal experience. I'm divorced, and I have 5 teenagers, and I'm self-employed, and I'm running a business, and I'm doing it all on my own. And so going through that, it much newer for me. So maybe 4 years in, and I was excited when Christina asked me about this because it's sensitive. And I really have a heart for really taking that time to understand what my client's been through and what phase they're in and what they're after, and just helping them ease from, allow the healing. So a new space after a split is very much like I'm trying to help people create a sanctuary space.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
And it's not like a Mary Poppins design snap of the finger. It needs to be a process.
You need a healing space. That this is going through something that your whole life has changed. It's not a get over it in a month type of thing. You can pretend that may happen, but this is a year. It takes years, to do that, and then to find yourself throughout that process. Now, Hollie and I had a conversation. And she brought up something that really hit hard. And I have a feeling, I did read your notes. Your note number 1 is about allowing yourself, and please forgive me. So within your notes, we touched on boxes. And it hit me hard where you were discussing how it's okay not to open certain things. It's okay not to wear certain things. And it's okay, like for photos. I have a girlfriend who is going through it right now, and they have family photos, and the smile was so fake. She didn't want to keep the family photos up, but she wanted to do it for the kids, but didn't know what to do. How do you work around something like that you want your clients need to shed and say, you know what, that was a trigger. That was not good for me. I don't want it around. And how do you implement that or keep it out of a new space?
I'm always sensitive to what my client is feeling, but I think just the best advice for people just settling into a new space after a divorce is it's okay to leave the past behind. It's okay if there are some, like for me, I probably won't for years until my kids need them. The family photos after 16 years, of those memories, I have no desire to look at them, unbox them. It's too hard, and I don't want to go. And so it's okay if there are certain things that trigger unhappy memories. It's kind of like if there's bad juju in anything, just allow yourself to just leave it where it is. If it's in a storage space or the basement, it's not like you move into a new space and suddenly you bring your own old life with you, and you have to be using it all. So it's okay to just let it go for a while. Let it rest. Yeah.
Be kind to yourself. After we hung up, that's what really resonated with me, is just have that kindness for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
You guys are making me think of that Super Bowl commercial this year. I don't know if you saw it, where you could take even an old picture and delete somebody out of it.
That.
Right? So as you're talking about that, that's what I'm thinking about.
Scan all your pictures out. Remove it.
It's that Google phone, so you can circle it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's just, start fresh. And like you said, you don't have to bring those up right away. Start fresh, have a fresh new place to live in. And then it becomes your new normal, or your new better than normal, if what you were used to you consider normal, right? And it's always exciting, I think, to have something new or have a new project. And then but something that with somebody like your help, Hollie, you can help your client think about, it's not just right now, but in the future, what's going to age well, what's not, what are things I'm going to need or not need, because some people go on a crazy binge as soon as they get divorced and want something super wild and opposite from what they were used to, which may or may not be okay, but you got to get them think, all right, in 5 years from now, or what if you settle down again, or what if you want to think about resale, or what do you want to, and kind of help them think beyond that, kind of like we help people think beyond divorce, not just immediately what they want. And that's part of the reason I tell people, and I believe that there's a rule, for example, in Michigan, a minimum of 6 months before a divorce could be final if you have minor children. It's because you change your mind. What you want the day you file for divorce is different than what you want in a couple months, different from what you want at the end. And sometimes it's influences of certain people or it's emotions. But I would think the same thing would come into play when designing a place, right?
Okay, so you basically, it's like you just read everything I wrote down.
I didn't read anything.
I know you did it, but I
He used to do notes, so I promise he didn't read it.
I have to just, I'm going to go through, like, you basically just touched on what step 2 and step 3, I kind of organize this as steps.
I should come join your team.
Like, step 2 is really like embrace the change and evaluate your needs and the needs of your children. So if you have kids, that's huge. And for me, it was watching, like, I've always ran my home and I was a stay-at-home mom as well. So I had, it was always game on for me. And then when my ex, like watching him move into his own space and make that, like, I would give the same advice to anybody in any situation. It's like, you have a new space and you're embracing like the change, and what are your needs? Like, to take the time to look at, if you have kids, hey, how are we going to operate best as a family right now? And what makes sense in our schedule? And what things do we want to change about? Like, this is not just you had old life and now we just split into 2 homes and pick up right where we left off. There's an opportunity to really create and establish like new ways to spend your time and priorities, and really like become who you're going to be at your best.
And I think it's important to work with somebody that has that same experience, maybe a few years ahead of you or longer, but to where they've had the kids at different ages of stages of life, who have maybe gone through a divorce, and think about that stuff. Like, for example, when I designed my house, I didn't have kids at the time, or my son was really young. So I didn't think about that. I like all wide open spaces. I didn't think about kids having toys there. And I'd tell my wife, why are they bringing their toys to the main floor? They shouldn't be here. And we had many arguments about that. But that's stuff I didn't think of, that now if I were to advise somebody else, or even when I design my next house, because my kids are still young, I would think about those type of things. Like, what is some way that it could still look open without necessarily being all open, or they can have their own space. That's things to think about. It's like I was telling you guys, I think, a story about my office earlier. When I designed my first office, I was thinking more about in my head, the image and the design, as opposed to also tying it in with the practicality, which now, obviously, after having that experience, I know what to do and what not to do. But rather than making those costly mistakes or decisions, it's important, I think, and I probably should have taken my own advice, which is consult somebody that maybe has that personal experience. So,
yeah, thank you. After we spoke yesterday, I was just thinking, I'm like, it's hard, I think, because people associate design with luxury and for people only that have big budgets. I like to think of it more as, if you're going to sell your home, you need a real estate agent. I mean, if you've ever tried to sell a home on your own, you don't know where to start. You're not going to market. You don't know what you're doing. And it's like, I kind of come into play. I can help in the beginning, but that's basically the equivalent of what I do. You need a divorce attorney that is experienced. You don't do these things on your own. So, yeah. Okay. So back to my little list. Take your time to figure things out. There's no rush. And Jeffrey, like what you mentioned, don't go and rush into big ticket purchases right away.
And they like to do that after divorce.
No. From the mortgage aspect, please don't. In case we have to refinance or do something else. Hold on, nothing on the credit.
Right?
Don't liquidate those assets.
So don't spend
put your disclaimer in. Hurry up.
Hold on.
Restoration hardware.
But yes,
you're absolutely right.
And for people that, divorces often mean you have the opportunity to create a new life and a fantastic life, but it means sometimes for some of us, massive financial changes, different budgets. You have to be mindful about what was the norm and what you were spending money on monthly is maybe not going to be ideal for you now. And that comes, I'm super passionate with every project, but be mindful that you create a plan, get the vision and get your design in your mind of how your space, how you need it to function and feel, and create the sanctuary space, but do it like you would approach maybe an outfit. You have your investment pieces and you have your accessories, and we don't all go buy Chanel from head to toe. It's kind of like, I look at like your sofa. For me and for most clients, I try to tell them, like, your sofa is your favorite pair of jeans. That, and maybe your investment jeans, where you'll spend like the $150 to $200 on a great pair of jeans in today's day and age. But you also know in your mind, you're going to keep those babies for like 7 years and you're going to wear them all the time. So it's, so approaching, creating your space that you're going to be happy in within a realistic timeline and budget is imperative, I think, to settling in.
I like that analogy with the couch being like the staple piece, and then you can start adding to your collection, where we all have pieces. Even when it comes down to wardrobe, we have our favorite shoes that we pair with jeans that you found at a thrift store that's all ripped up and awesome, but the shoes are like $400 and you pair them up. I like the idea of the couch and then pairing things, even going, we did discuss plants. I know how you like plants, how you can go just to have a nice couch and go to Home Depot, go to Costco, buy that tall plant and make it an accent piece for like $20, $30.
Accessories are important.
Yes, but you can build. And I like Holly, how you brought that up, how you can build up your collection and make it your space, but the vision, having that true vision and focus, that could ultimately help someone, like, okay, this is my space and I have a goal to create something that's mine.
Yeah.
And for the kids or whomever's inside the house or the pet that you may take with you.
How often when you go into houses, I always imagine, and sometimes we got so much stuff, we're such consumer freaks. We have so many cool things that we don't even realize how cool they are. So how often do you go into houses and repurpose things to find a focal piece?
Or reshop inside the house.
All the time.
Reshopping.
Yeah.
All the time. I call it shop at home, right?
See, I call it shopping.
It's like shop at home. Like, let's see, what do you own that has good bones, or that, maybe has some special meaning to you. So that's just part of what I will do when I work with a client. And I work well. When people get to know me, they'll understand, and they come to expect me to be really brutally honest. So if something is just really ugly and it's not going to work, I'll say, no, this is done. Just put this on the front porch.
This is no longer part of your journey.
This is,
this is no longer it.
That's what I like when customers come to me 3 or 4 months beforehand, where they're not going to be doing business and I have to worry about their business. I can tell I can be mean to you and tell you what you need to hear, because sometimes I think that's what people
That's what they're paying for, your expertise, and there's a way to deliver the message, and clearly, if someone's hiring you, they respect that. I mean, we haven't even gotten to the whole book thing. You're being very sweet here, and you're humble, but you've written a book. I mean, you're an author.
The mother of
I would love to hear
makeovers.
about that. Anyone who's written a book, people should be sitting and listening to, I say.
Well,
Looks like a pretty
yeah.
thick book too.
It is
like it's
legit.
taken some time.
It is a memoir, and it does share my experience of leaving this dream job, getting married, thinking my thought was that I was going to be a suburban housewife and soccer mom, and everything was going to be fantastic and happy and perfect. And suddenly, I found myself in a multi-million-dollar home with all these kids, and we were unemployed, and life was anything but what I thought it would be. And so the book is really my story. It's like my comeback. I had a turning, a massive, like, life-changing moment, and kind of comically, I was putting away laundry in my closet. There was nothing extraordinary about the day, except for I had an extraordinary just epiphany that, I was put here on this earth for a purpose. And it wasn't just to be a mom. I mean, being a mom is my favorite part of who I am, but I have, I was put here for a purpose. And so it was having, embracing a dream for myself that allowed me to get through some extremely challenging times. And that's what the book is about. It's a comeback story.
I love that.
Yeah.
And purpose is important. I find that people, we deal with people that are getting divorced. It is hard because that purpose is, I think, integral to your core. When that is shaken or when you don't know what that is, people seem to they spiral. And so that's a lot of what we do with working with people going through divorce. It's not that they don't have purpose, but their purpose is shifting. It's changing. And again, they have to re-find that. And so it's without purpose, we all, it's tricky. So that's amazing. I love that. And it's called The Mother. I can't read from here.
The Mother of All Makeovers, a memoir of more, less, and making busy beautiful.
I love that.
If you're connected with me on social media, you'll know that my hashtag is making busy beautiful, and kind of, my mindset, and it's the making busy beautiful mindset. And what I teach and what I love to share with other people is how to make the most of every day and to do it with mindfulness and gratitude, and how to simplify your everyday life, which includes removing clutter from your space, your style, your schedule, and being extremely clear on who you are and what your focus is and what your purpose is, and just being passionate and loving life. So
that would seem like it makes sense with maybe, and I don't know whether you do this or not, but designing home workspaces. And I think the two things I think of with the clutter and making your life simple when it's busy is, I mean, I'm not one that can really get much work done at home, but I would think a home workspace maybe, and maybe also like the pantry and where all the food is and where whatever, and kind of organizing that or designing. I know you're not an organizer per se, but a designer and how you design it. Is that something that you've experienced?
I feel like I've touched on every single part of someone's life in their home throughout my career. So when it comes to organizing, I have a fantastic organizer in my group that I'll pull in for the heavy lifting projects, but always thinking about, what do you need to function in your space and feel happy.
Cool.
Sometimes there could be that little bit of, resistance to wanting to spend the money and to do that. But I think of just how much productivity you lose by not doing that, coming in and assisting with families. I know there's always that stuff, the clutter that you have, the mail that you get, figuring out what to do. So it's nice to get somebody to come in and to help out in that way. And I think we sometimes lose about how much more productive it'll make you from day to day. So
putting systems in place.
Yeah.
Important. Well, it's been a pleasure meeting you.
Yeah,
Thank you so
likewise.
much for
Thanks
coming.
for having me.
And you're on social media, obviously, if people want to find you. Can you say, what was your hashtag again? Or your
my hashtag is Making Busy Beautiful, but my social media handles are at Hollie Gyarmati.
Okay.
And my book's available on Amazon and Audible.
We'll put the link down.
Yeah.
We'll definitely put the link. We'll plug it.
Yeah. And my website is, my business name is HG Makeovers. So I do residential, commercial design, and have special services for real estate.
I love that.
Agents. Cool.
Beautiful. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much
Thanks for joining
Thank
us.
you so much.
Thank you to everybody tuning in this week, and we'll see you next week.